To our breaking news, though, US President Joe Biden is cancelling the Australia leg of his upcoming trip through the Pacific. Joining me live from the US is Professor of Political Science at Cyprus College, Peter Matthews. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us. Great to see you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Jenny.
Lovely to see you. It's been a while since we've chatted, but Biden will now return to Washington. So what is the latest from the US?
The latest is that he's doing that because he has this debt limit crisis on his hands, which he has to solve and settle with the House, especially House Speaker McCarthy. And they haven't come close enough to an agreement yet. And it's crucial because if they cannot raise the debt limit and the U.S. cannot pay its bills, you're talking about $31.4 trillion in debt. You're talking about having to pay to Japan and China. They have about $1 trillion and $800 billion in debt that the U.S. owes them alone. And so that'll really weaken the U.S. dollar. It'll also cause inflation to skyrocket. Hundred thousands of jobs will be actually lost here in the United States. So it's very crucial, but he has decided to go to the G7 summit so far. And the Quad members who would have been in Australia with him will all be at the G7 summit as well.
All right, and what has the reaction been? I know it's only just fairly recent, this breaking news, but what reaction have you heard about his decision to cancel the trip?
I think that people on his administration are trying to explain it because Australia is a very, very important ally. And this is an important meeting with the Quad to discuss the various issues dealing with security and those four countries particularly. So we don't know, the full reaction, the fallout will take place in the next few days. But overall, I think he needed to stick to the focus on the debt ceiling crisis. And I was hoping that Australia leadership would understand that, as the other countries as well, and maybe make a revised plan to meet in Hiroshima at the G7 summit.
And as you mentioned about the crisis there, the debt crisis, the Treasury Department, I believe, has suggested that the US will go into that crippling default as early as June 1. Certainly if Congress doesn't lift that debt ceiling. What more can you tell us on that?
Well, for a while it looked like maybe June 8th. Now they moved up to June 1. I think that's more realistic. And it would be horrendous if the US cannot do this. And the main sticking point is between the Republican leadership in the House and President Biden and the Democrats in the Senate. One side, the Republicans want to cut a lot of social programs, including veterans benefits and all kinds of other programs that would be very important to the American people, Medicaid, those things. In order to raise the debt limit, they are holding that as a bargaining chip to cut a lot of social programs that the Republicans don't like. And frankly, that's something that Biden was going to hold on to and say, no, we're not going to negotiate that. But now it looks like he might be a bit more pliable on a few of those programs in order to get this debt limit increase, because that's the crucial issue right there. If it isn't increased, the U.S. dollar will lose its value on the world market in terms of the foreign currencies. Foreign countries are using the U.S. dollar. 60% of the countries have the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency. The value of the dollar would go down, and it would really, mostly, it will debase the U.S. standing in the world community, and it'll be not fair to the lenders that lent the U.S. this money that needs to get paid back.
Well, Professor Peter Matthews, we really appreciate you joining us this morning with that breaking news and look forward to talking to you again. Hope you have a great afternoon.
You bet. Thank you, Jenny.